Most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong live for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Wealth Coffee Chats. I am your host today, Damien Hauser, a part of the Pos Money brokering team. I can't believe it's already Friday already. Where has the time gone? And I can't believe it's almost near the end of September as well. So I hope you enjoyed your week and also you have a good Friday. But today I'm going to talk about in this session about facing challenges in securing a home loan. Good morning, Rose. Nice if you're joining. Now, the reason why I actually picked this particular topic today is that sometimes that when we look at securing a home loan, sometimes it could be very, very easy to get through from start to finish. And when you get it approved, it could take about at least maybe 24 or even 48 hours to get something done, or even just close under a week. And you think, wow, that's fantastic, how quickly we actually got that done. And then what you look at is that you might actually then recommend a colleague or your friends or even family members to that particular lender or that particular broker. And then they're the ones that might actually have a challenge to get it through. So for them, it might not take 24 to 48 hours or even under a week. It actually might even take a little bit longer. And you think, why? Why did that actually happen? So what I'm going to do is talk about different things that you might need to look at and ask the questions when you're actually going through for your home loan with your current lender, with your broker, and just to see and working through it together. Now, one of the things that we look at more than anything is your income. Now, some of our clients, or even all of us here, could be PAYG, and we can provide our normal pay slips. But then we've also got people who are self-employed. So I'll start with people who are PAYG. So PAYG, we can provide some information with details on your pay slips. Good evening, Kevin from Florida. Nice to see you. And what that means is that on your pay slips that you could be going as a full-time employee, a part-time employee, or even just casual. So the questions that you need to ask, what kind of income will I be using when we're looking at servicing? Now, a lot of things is that you think, okay, well, I earn $80,000 per year. But what that means is that do we actually use that full income? Because that might include super or excluding super. So you have to actually know exactly what kind of income will the lender or the broker will be using for you. Now, other things that you have to look at have you just started that new job? So what are the parameters? What are the guidelines that you need to know and provide back to the lender and back to the broker? So making sure that you're always asking these kind of questions to make sure that we've got the right information. Now, other things that you might have to think about and even look at on your payslip is allowances, overtime that might be actually also be able to use to help servicing with your borrowing power, and making sure that what kind of allowances or what kind of especially with the allowances, can you actually use all of them? So making sure that when you actually do speak to your broker or even speaking to your lender, ask them the question, what allowances am I or aren't I allowed to use? Because then you might be able to use all of them, or maybe not any of them. Or you might have to provide more information to get you over the line. Now, when you look at self-employed people, they're actually not unique, but very different, because some of the people are your normal sole traders. People will have a company, or people might actually have a trust involved. So these are the things that when we, as a broker, or going through your lender, we actually have to ask or actually get you to provide all your relevant tax returns for that entity. So if you're a sole trader or a company or a trust, we have to actually get all that information. And when we go through that information, then we have to then look at what kind of income can we use? Because sometimes that, again, knowing in your self-employed information, you might be earning $80,000 again. But on your tax return, because of because your accountant might be trying to make you not pay more tax and trying to reduce that tax income, that means then your income will be reduced on your tax return. So we got to then look at, as a broker, or if you're going through the lender direct, look at what kind of income can we use. And sometimes we might not be able to use all the income that we need to use, and we have to then look at alternative options. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that we have to then look at ways to do with that is either going low doc, for some people who might know that, or alt doc, which means that then we have to then use relying on your accountant to knowing that what income can we use. Now, other things that might be a challenge when you're going for a home loan that you think, okay, well, why is it taking so long? Is that it might be the other outstanding debts that you have available. And then what that means is that you might have an existing HEX debt. You might actually have an outstanding credit card debt, personal loan debt, or even a car loan. So what that means is that we try to use your outstanding debts and see if that is going to help you with your service, your borrowing power. But then when we go through the lenders, they actually then look at it and go, "Ooh, could be very tight." And then that we have to then try to figure out what's the best way that we can actually make this work for you. So that might mean is that we might have to pay out your credit card debt if that's an opportunity or a possibility, or even trying to pay out your HEX debt. And that does make a big difference in your borrowing power and trying to get you over the line. So these are the things that you also have to think about when you're going through a home loan, even before talking to a broker or even talking to your normal lender, asking the question to yourself, but in you knowing that you can ask the broker, is this credit card limit or is this HEX debt going to be an issue for me to get me over the line? Because then we actually know that, okay, well then let's look at that to see if that's the case, because we just don't want to be halfway through the loan and say, hey, Mr. Client, we now are you able to reduce that credit card debt or pay it off? Or can you actually pay reducing that HEX debt? Just give me more borrowing power. But other things that we have to look at is valuations. Now, valuations is a big topic, because when we look at valuations, we estimate what we think our property is worth. If it's an existing property that we're actually living in at the moment or we actually own. So then what we do as brokers, or even if you go through to your normal lender, is look at what is the actual value of that property. So then sometimes the property might be worth what you actually saying, but sometimes it actually might be less. So you got to have a look at the challenge, saying that, okay, well, if it is less, because I've actually have seen it being less by maybe 10,000, 20,000, even 50. I mean, the biggest one I've actually ever seen being reduced is actually was around about 200,000 less than what the client estimated, because they thought the area they're living in, they think, oh, this is really good. It's definitely in the right area. It's going up each time, but it was actually worth less. So you have to then realize, do you actually have enough to cover the difference? So making sure that when you actually do talk to your broker or talk to your lender, it's always important to asking these important questions. What if this happens? What if this happens? Because then if we know it right at the front, then we're in front of the game if we do have challenges. Now, other things that we have to maybe consider is that for brokers, we have to look at, okay, well, if we've only got one lender and we have an issue with that particular lender that we've gone through, do we actually have the relationship with that particular lender? Or do we actually have a relationship with the business development manager that we go through? Because that makes a big impact. Because sometimes the lenders that we might go through, it might be the very first time that we're actually using them. So if you don't actually have the relationship, it can make a big impact. And we got to make sure that we are doing the right thing for you as a customer. So knowing that if we have that good relationship and we can get you over the line, that makes also a big impact for you to making sure that we can get it done. Other things that we have to look at is that you might be coming off your fixed rate. I know that a lot of our clients have had fixing their loans for when it was around the interest rate of 1.99 or even 2.99%. And they're thinking, fantastic, these rates are being really, really good and really being good for us. And we can make the minimum payments and have also still do what we do as per normal. But when those fixed rates do expire, we are going back to what the normal rates are currently at now, which could be, if you're on owner occupied, maybe 6.2 or 6.3%. But sometimes these lenders, because you are on a fixed rate for quite a good time, they actually even increase that fixed rate a little bit higher. So then you think, wow, is that going to be a challenge for me to making those repayments? And what can I do? So these are the questions that you have to ask your broker. Okay, what's the best way that we can actually reducing our repayments on these standard rates at the moment to make it comfortable for you to keep moving forward and making the normal repayments, still enjoying life, and maybe even saving a little bit more to buying that next property. But also, it's not just fixed rates. It could be even coming off your interest only period, because paying just the interest for a while, again, it could be for tax purposes. It could be just something that you need to do. And when you go back up to principal and interest, again, do you find it hard to making those repayments? And you think, is there something that we can do? And is there going to be a challenge to going back to interest only? So these are the questions that you need to ask your broker or ask your lender, what can be done? So I know that, like I said, it can be a challenge going through and getting your home loan done. But you've got to work with the right team, and having the right team to getting you over the line is very, very important. Making sure that you talk to your current broker, or even if you're going to a new broker, having these conversations and making sure you ask the right questions and knowing that you feel confident with that person that you're talking to get you over the line. Because I know that I find it hard to maybe that it could be a challenge, but you work hard as you can to get that person over the line, because you want to have their dreams come true, or you just want them to make sure that that loan was successful. So then they will come back to you, or they will get other people to be referred to. But you've just got to make sure that you actually, making sure that you work together to getting your things over the line. So sometimes you might have to provide more information to do that. And I know it can be very, very frustrating to ask him more information at that time. But hey, it's okay, because people with brokers, you will work together with them. They won't leave you high and dry. They won't say, "Oh, I'm going to not do this for you." They will do it. And if you go through a lender, it'll probably be exactly the same thing. So it's just making sure, has that experience been right for you when you had challenges to doing that? And other things that you have to think about too, like I said before, having that right team is very, very important. And making sure that that you will have sometimes having loans running through quite smoothly. But then think about this. It's always about asking the right questions and making sure you feel comfortable right from the start before you even submitting that particular loan. Now, I hope there might be some few questions out there. If you do, please put them in the chat. If you have some questions about what kind of challenges you might feel that have been your kind of experience in a home loan, when you went through a home loan. Because I know that sometimes you might say, well, I had the smoothest process ever. It took just less over a week. I was happy. Everything went quite well. But then sometimes you think, oh, yes, it was a bit of a hard thing to go through. And I know even sometimes with not just valuations, it could be the location of the actual property too, because the location is a big key. Sometimes people might want to buy a farm or buy some acres. So then you got to think about, okay, well, is that going to be a challenge to get you over the line? Because it might not be going through the normal home loan chain, or it might mean not normal home loan product. So then that might mean your rates might be a little bit higher than normal people. But it's then knowing that your broker or your lender explaining that to you up front and making sure that and feeling comfortable that that is the case. Because you just don't want to go in there, submit everything, and then saying, finding out, okay, well, why is this now higher than the normal standard variable rate? Or why is it taking a little bit longer to get a valuation done? Because it might be in an area where a valuer might have to go out there and spend the whole day to just travel there to look at your property, inspect it, come all the way back, and then provide that report. So that's sometimes can be a challenge for a valuer. But like I said, if you're knowing that up front, then you'll know exactly what to expect. And that's what you need to do. Asking the right questions up front, making sure that you do have everything in front of you when you actually talk to your broker or your current lender. Because the more questions that you ask, the more understanding that you will get up front before we actually submit the deal. And then you feel more comfortable. If there is going to be challenges getting through your deal, then you know up front, expecting that, okay, it might take 2 to 3 weeks than someone who did it within under a week. Well, I hope today that you enjoyed today's Wealth Coffee Chat. Please make sure that you subscribe to all of our other podcasts during the week and everything. And I hope you have a happy Friday and enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for taking the time to being with me today. Bye.
Episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-Star team here at positivementor.com.au.